What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. We have a kind of a spicy feature match, participant for you here. So we got Mr. Kyle Wallace, who's recently come back from YCS Birmingham. His first ever YCS, and he's managed to make top 64 with Crystrons. Kyle, first off, congratulations, very well done.
Thank you.
So I just thought we'd get you down, ask you a few questions, because kind of your story and what you've done is kind of why we built the channel, is to take people from playing locals, playing regionals and OTS championships to kind of topping YCSs. That's the point, is to get better and succeed at the game in a competitive sense.
Yeah.
And obviously being in your first YCS is kind of like a emblematic of what we want to do. So I just thought, if you're happy to answer a few questions just about kind of your experience and what kind of went into obviously making top cut at your first YCS.
Yeah.
So just first off, what sort of like prep and work did you put in to actually try and make top cut? And did you expect to make top cut?
I did not expect to make it at all. Because originally, I mean, you can ask, Jamie and that. Like, the reason I went down to Birmingham was actually to take the judge exam on the Sunday morning. I wasn't planning on doing well at all. I was originally not even going to take Cystron. That was more a circumstance of what budget and the fact that Blue Eyes got pushed back a week. So I was planning to take that originally. Then when that wasn't likely, I'd been practicing a lot with Cystron and I liked it. It was a very good budget option. I can't afford a lot of like mulch armies and very expensive staples and that. So I kind of took it pure. Because that was what I tested with. I did a lot of testing online with friends. I tested the mirror actually a lot. Never came up. Never played a single Cystron. But yeah, so I practiced a lot of games, read a lot of cards, like practiced a lot with the Rizio and Malice matchups. I knew there would be a lot, what to expect. Yeah, I think part of my prep is a lot of reading cards when they come out, especially cards that you think might not come up, because I mean I even faced like materia actors and all that during my like early rounds. So I think like especially in early rounds of tournaments, you can face anything. So it's good to have a wide base of knowledge, I think.
Yeah, of course. So that kind of knowledge of the cards, is that a major thing for you? Do you think that makes the difference?
I think for me personally, yeah, I think knowing my matchups more than they know mine is sort of key. So I know like Crystron isn't as strong as a lot of these decks. Rizio and Malice can consistently put up better boards, but if I know what they're more likely to do over what they know I'm likely to do, I have that edge of using my advantages of putting up sort of consistently the Crystron board, which isn't bad.
Yeah.
Usually you have a quick synchro, an Omni Negate, and some like targeted destruction with recycling resources. It's good. So
it's a very strong board.
Yeah.
It's not like Malice or Ubel or Snake Eyes, but it is a strong board.
Yeah.
Like I think in a, maybe 12 months ago it would have been like a top tier board if that deck came out.
Definitely.
So do you feel like going forward Cystron is a deck to keep in mind, or is this kind of like a one-off because people don't know what it does?
I think going forward the main issue is that pure at least, it struggles a lot into Blue Eyes. Spirit Dragon itself prevents Tristorosa's graveyard effect, because you can't summon two monsters at the same time. And also just like graveyard negates, Crystron likes a lot of its place to start in the graveyard, so even if you can cut it off at the start, then it's difficult, but it might mean more sort of adventure Crystron, cash tier Crystron gets to shine a bit more, because they can kind of supplement where the deck lacks, especially now that people might be taking more, and again, people might now know that it also struggles into like Lancia and Shifter, which is in a Malice format. That's it does suffer from that.
Fair. Okay, well, obviously, as you said, you didn't really expect to make top cuts. Whenever I suppose it would have been like end of round 11, you would have been known that you're going into top cuts.
Yeah, I was 10-1 at the end of round, so at that point I was like confirmed pretty much, like slated. It was unreal. Again, a lot of the guys at the locals I have to thank for it. Like, a lot of, I think, mental support. After each round, I was telling them, I've made another round, and they were like, great, like you need to do another one. I was like, right, okay, and that kind of helped cement the mentality of I've got this. I can do it. I think that's part of it is confirming in yourself that you're just like, I can do this. Like, so if you go into it with a defeatist mentality, you're already like on the back foot.
Yeah.
Mentally.
So that's just you. It's just like, you know, going in with that winner's mentality of like, you can make the next round and you can do everything like that. Obviously, part of that is that top cut. So like top cut of a YCS or another like tier 3 championship, like a European Championships, that's not something a lot of people will experience. I think it's a very small, I think like single digit percentage of Yu-Gi-Oh players will ever experience that kind of single elimination top cut mentality. Something you now count yourself as part of. What is that? Whenever you hit that top cut and a single elimination, and it's like you need to win every single match, does something change in the mentality or in change of like how you approach things?
I think at that point I was a lot more alert of like everything. So the kind of the mood sort of shifted, even though I still, you know, very courteous towards opponents, like that doesn't change, but you are very aware of like even the slightest thing can make or break that next game. Like you said, unfortunately I was knocked out in the first game. Good player, just unfortunately how it was. I did make a big misplay with a solemn strike, but I think that was probably my biggest fumble. I solemn strike the Ragna 0.
I mean, it's going to happen. It's like misplays happen at every level. Do you think that kind of the occasion and like the, you know, hitting that top cut, do you think that played a part? And was it nerves or was it just a misplay after fatigue?
I think we had 2 judge calls during it, so already I was a bit like on edge, and then it was just unfortunate. I had sort of preempted his hand, but it was game 2 and I'd solemn strike and I knew I had sort of enough to stop. Then it turned out he was on Mitsurugi. I didn't know he was on Mitsurugi until after I'd, you know, solemn strike his XYZ, drop into his Ice Razio, and then he hits out with King of the Feral Imps going into adding the ritual, going into Mitsurugi ritual, and I was like, okay, well.
Sometimes they just have it.
Scunnered, yeah.
Jeez. Well, I mean, that's unfortunate to go into, but obviously, like, it is still a phenomenal achievement to hit that. You know, looking back on kind of the whole event, the tournament, the prep you did, knowing kind of the journey it took to get to where you got to, is there anything you would have done differently?
I also can't say, because I think part of it is obviously like luck does factor into it. Also your matchups leading up to it and just how you're feeling. Like I woke up both days feeling awful. Like I had like very little sleep. I was powered by orange juice and like sort of little snack bars. So I barely ate for both days. But I think my mentality going into it was like I was just going down to have fun, and I think like without that additional pressure, like, I think that kept me going. And then the more sort of the wins came, I was like, this is great, and it was very just positive mentally. So I think that helped. So I think probably going forward, it's helped me with that. But I don't know, going back to change anything, I don't know if I would, because I almost made a few changes right before, and then my mates were rightly like, no, just stick with your list. Stick with the list you practice, don't make any last minute changes, it'll only muck you up.
Absolutely, no, good to hear. So yeah, I mean, obviously, you have done your deck profile already, so that's not what we're here to do. You've done that over at Jambo Yu-Gi-Oh!
Yeah,
Jambo YGO, yep. Link to that deck profile will be in the description, guys, if you want to check that out, so please do. Jambo's a good friend of Kyle here and of ourselves, so feel free to check that out. Otherwise, Kyle, going forward, because obviously what we want to do is help encourage sort of new players or people who are a bit more casual to move up the same way you've done from like a locals level, a regionals level, to maybe not every time hitting top cut, because obviously there's only some people can do that, but you know, performing more consistently at high level. Do you have any bits of advice for making that transition?
I think like, you know, a lot of reading, a lot of knowing what cards do, a lot of part of it as well as like psychology. I watched a great video on sort of mental. It was from a critter called 10 Foot D. Again, that was more applicable to Edison format, but I think the same thing applies. Sort of tilt controlling like, you know, what you can control about games, what you can't, and then applying that going forward. A lot of it as well as learning about sort of body language and player psychology. A lot of my, I think, plays were influenced by how my opponents acted. might give like little tells, and you know how they start combos helps you know what they might not have. So I think a lot of stuff like that. And for me, I think what helps me as a player is focusing on consistency over like a very high ceiling. Because if you can consistently get to those boards, it helps you then, you can apply that to other decks. Like, what can I do to boost consistency so that I know roughly what I'm dealing with, rather than I hope my big combo gets through, but if it doesn't, I've got nothing. Again, a lot of players work well with that and they'll know how to recover from that, but I think especially starting out, getting a sort of low ceiling deck that you can consistently work with, and you can work out matchups, how to side properly. That was another big thing I learned at the YCS, was siding patterns, just very consistently, same cards in, same cards out. It helps cut down so much time. You can't get called out for slow playing if you know what you're doing. And yeah, just stuff like that. A lot of mentality, I think, is part of it.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Kyle. Appreciate you taking the time to speak with us.
No worries.
Any shout outs you want to give?
Just to Jambo YGO and to Atrocity TCG and DOSBox Falco. Helped me with a lot with online testing. And Sean, Jamie and Jacob for helping at the YCS.
Nice one, man. Well, thank you very much, man. Listen, appreciate your time. I'm sure we'll see you at the big tables soon.
Yeah, maybe at Nats. Who knows?
That's the dream.
Yeah.
Thanks, guys. If you want to check out Kyle's deck profile, please check out the link in the description below. That's from the Crystron Top 64 YCS deck with the main man here. Otherwise, stay tuned for more like this and more deck profiles and testing videos.